Hello and welcome to Tax Matters as we enter the month of August 2023. I'm Chamaka Ohauchi. Now that the Senate has screened ministerial nominees, we know that very soon we will have in place the men and women in charge of critical sectors of the political economic space in Nigeria. It was the legendary James Hadley Chase who used the phrase, "You got another thing coming," in one of his iconic novels. If you thought we were going to hurriedly forget the story of the feat performed by the FIRS in netting a whopping sum of 5.5 trillion naira in the first half of year 2023, then you've got another thing coming. It is a feat indeed, and a spectacular one at that, one which cannot be forgotten in a hurry. The Executive Chairman FIRS Chairman Joint Tax Board, President Carter, has been speaking on the groundbreaking achievement. Take a listen.
Federal Land Revenue Service has collected the sum of 5.5 trillion naira from January to June 2023. This amount is the highest tax revenue collected by the service within the first 6 months of any calendar year. The sum, that is the 5.5 trillion, also means that we have collected over 100% of our mid-year target for the first half of the year, which is 5.3 trillion. In other words, we have been requested to collect 5.3 trillion, but we already have done 5.5, translating to about 102% of the target. This actually is a good head start for the service as we work towards meeting and surpassing the 2023 target. We achieved this, if you ask me, despite the stubborn headwinds that affected businesses and the economy in the first and second quarter of the year 2023. Such stubborn headwinds include, but are not limited to, 1, the impact of currency redesign on our economy. Where for the operations of FIRS, we saw over 10,000 companies that could not file their VAT returns in March and April 2023 respectively. The second of such problems that we encountered in the half year under review include the impact of 2023 general election, where we saw many companies shutting down their businesses and leaving the country for fear of post-election violence. One, improved voluntary tax compliance by taxpayers. 2, the continued improvement of tax automation of our tax administration processes, including the recently introduced updated VAT filing return processes. And 3, our dogged engagement with stakeholders in both the formal and informal sectors of our economy. We expect ourselves to do better than this. The second half of the year, we were very optimistic will be better, with the expected impact of the unification of exchange rates that Mr. President has introduced and directed CBN to do, which has now addressed issues of underreporting, that is, under translation of foreign currency tax collection by FIRS. In the past, because of the dual exchange rate or multiple exchange rate, our collections were always reported at the official CBN official rate as against the parallel market rate, so leading to understatement of our collection by almost 30%. I call on all Nigerians and taxpayers nationwide to continue to pay their taxes, as it pays certainly to pay taxes, because it's through the taxes that you pay that government is able to build critical infrastructures like hospitals, roads, that government is also able to provide social amenities, including water, and healthcare services and the rest. And it is through these taxes that you pay that government is able to build beautiful schools, invest in our universities, build infrastructure, train lecturers, and all the tertiary institutions. And for government at all levels, whether you are the chairman of the local government or the head of the state and those at the Federal Executive Council level, we request that you continue to judiciously apply this taxpayers' money to better the citizens' life, because when you do this, you are giving taxpayers value for their money.
Once again, congratulations to the FIRS. The reward for hard work, they say, is harder work. We will hold the FIRS to its words, to its promise to do better in second half 2023 and beat targets. We want to return to the Judges Interactive Training Conference jointly organized by the National Judicial Institute and the FIRS, which was held in Abuja on Thursday, 15th June 2023. And in doing that, we want to share with you the paper presented by Mr. Kola Okonla, Director Strategic Intelligence Data Mining and Analysis Department at the FIRS.
The absolute number of taxpayers in the tax net is currently very low. There are many companies and enterprises doing business, and they have huge financial transactions in their bank accounts, but they are either not paying taxes or they are under-remitting. The VAT Automation program was conceived to mitigate this challenge, and the best way to expand the tax net is through automation. The value-added automation refers to the use of technology to automate the deduction and remittance of value-added tax to the VAT account at the Central Bank of Nigeria.
On the contribution of the VAT automation system to revenue collection, for example, at the inception of the automation in 2013, before commercial air tickets were exempted from VAT upon the issuance of an executive order by the federal government in June 2018. A lot was uncovered.
We started a pilot phase in 2012 with the aviation sector. There was an increase of 3 billion naira within a very short period of time. An airline that was paying 9 million naira per month started paying 300 million regularly every month when we went fully live in 2013.
There are other sectors.
The active VAT automation programs that we have done in FIRS covers the retail industry, that's the big supermarket and hospitality, and the cable satellite TV sector, which have been automated already. If you buy anything from ShopRite, for example, you will see the receipt that shows FIRS with a QR code. And from my system, I can see all the purchases in all the ShopRite branches in Nigeria and how much VAT has been deducted. And those that are exempted, maybe basic food items. So VAT automation is all about transparency and accountability. It minimizes human error, enables timely and accurate remittance. So if you look at the statistics, anytime we do automation, we carry out an impact analysis before and after the automation. In this case, there was a taxpayer that was paying 2.2 billion naira before automation. After automation, it increased to 3.2. That was an increment of like 1 billion, 48% increase. We also have some other interesting cases. There is this case that was paying 17 billion naira, and after automation, it increased astronomically to 42 billion naira. That's 22 billion increment. That's 150% increase. Another example that is quite interesting is number 9, which shows before automation, this taxpayer was paying 350,000 naira. And after automation, it jumped to 3.3 million. It may appear insignificant, but little drops of water makes the mighty ocean. That's 999% increase. So this is economy of scale. If we are able to achieve automation nationwide, you can imagine, I leave it to your imagination, if all the transactions are automated and transparently visible to the tax authority.
On the legal basis for VAT automation,
Section 25, subsection 4 of the Establishment Act 2007, as amended by the Section 18 of the Finance Act, empowers FIRS to launch tax systems integrated with advanced technology to collect taxes automatically. So this section empowers FIRS to deploy proprietary or third-party technology to automate the administration process, including assessment and information gathering, provided it gives 30 days notice to the taxpayer.
on the protection of taxpayer information,
FIRS has attained the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation Compliance status. FIRS was audited by the National Data Protection Bureau, which was created by the NDP, National Data Protection Act. So we have been audited and we are compliant with the National Data Protection Regulation. Also, FIRS is ISO certified, ISO 27101 certified. In conclusion, the successful implementation of the strategic plan for the improvement of tax collection in Nigeria requires the collaboration and commitment of all stakeholders. The three arms of government, taxpayers, tax professionals, civil society organizations, need to work together in order to achieve the objective of national development. It may also interest you to know that for the past 3 years, FIRS has been consistently contributing over 70% of the revenue that is shared during FAC. If we can automate fully, this utopia is achievable. It looks so far away, like a utopian vision. But if we are supported to achieve this, I believe that Nigeria will be a better country. There is hope for Nigeria.
Commendable efforts there by the FIRS. There is hope for Nigeria, and that is if we all join hands together to make things work.
Do you provide goods and services? Then you must answer these important questions. Are you registered for VAT? Do you charge VAT on the goods and services you provide? Do you keep records of all your transactions? Do you file VAT returns? Do you remit VAT collected to government coffers? If your answer to any of these questions is no, then you are breaking the law. The law demands total compliance. Therefore, you must register for VAT. You must charge VAT on goods and services. You must file VAT returns. And you must remit all VAT collected on behalf of government within 21 days to the bank nearest to you. To do otherwise is a crime punishable everywhere in the world. VAT is prescribed by the law. Do the right thing. Collect and pay VAT. This message is from the FIRS. It pays to pay your tax.
Welcome once again. Like law, like medicine, like nursing, tax practice is not an all-commerce affair. Tax practice is a regulated profession. The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, was established in 1982 and was chartered by the Federal Government of Nigeria by the Enabling Act No. 76 of 1992, which charged it with the responsibility of regulating the practice of taxation in Nigeria. In fulfillment of this mandate, the CITN licenses persons desirous of practicing taxation and keeps a register of practitioners. On Friday, 28 July 2023, 126 persons were presented with practice licenses that give them the right to act as tax advisors. Dr. Titilayo Fowoko is the Chairman, Membership and Professional Conduct Committee of the CITN.
You have taken the responsibility to support the League of Taxpayers in bridging the gap between the tax authorities and running their businesses, and also to provide professional technical guidance on taxation matters. This tax requires commitment, it requires service, it requires professional expertise, technical knowledge, good interpersonal relationship with all stakeholders, especially the tax authorities, decision makers, policy makers, and even our staff, because they are the greatest asset that we have for any practice. We need to crown it all with integrity, and that's what we stand for as members of this institute and practitioners.
In his opening remarks, the 16th president of the CITN, Barrister Samuel Abelui, reeled out what the institute expects from the would-be tax practitioners.
Today's event is indeed remarkable and speaks follow to the relevance that the Council of the Institute accords to ensuring that only qualified and certified persons practice taxation in the country. I therefore specially congratulate you all for meeting the requirement prescribed by Council for the issuance of practice license. You can be assured that by the end of this ceremony, you will join the growing list of professionals on the roll call of CITN, which entitles you to the practice of taxation in Nigeria. But before then, it is imperative that I reiterate what is expected of you as practitioner. Council expects you to refer always to the provision of the Institute's charter, the professional rules and practice guidelines. The Institute also expects you to hold in high esteem our core value, which is service, teamwork, excellence, and professionalism. The new president has said in his revenue, and we know his background. So you are coming on board at a very good time. There will be job to be done by tax practitioners in the country, but please sharpen your skill. So what the law says is what to do, and you need to pay attention to what the law says. So as a result of this, you need training and training over and over again. May I also sound a note of caution? The Institute will not fail to wield the big stick of discipline where there are reported and established cases of misconduct.
On the requirements and expectations of the FIRS in preparing tax computation,
as we are aware, customized stamps have been introduced to be used by tax practitioners in filing tax return and to be affixed on all correspondences. Following the signing of the MOU between the CITN, ICANN, and NANA, this was done in May 2021. The Federal Inland Revenue Service on the 27th July 2022 issued a circular which standardized the mode of filing of returns by respective institutions. The FIRS in the circular made it explicit that it will not accept tax computation included in any tax except it is done by a tax practitioner licensed by CITN. This is the law, this is the practice, no alternative to it.
3 papers were presented to further equip the tax professionals. And then, the high point of the event, the presentation of the would-be tax practitioners to the 16th president of the CITN for their oath of practice.
As at now, you are a tax professional. So after the issuance of certificates, you become tax practitioner. Mr. President, I present to you, sir, with your permission, the 126 members for your oath of practitioner on them to become a tax practitioner and representative of the Institute.
I do solemnly swear that I shall always comply with the provision of the Institute Charter, bear true allegiance to the Charter Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, obey all rules and regulations of the Institute from time to time, and in accordance with the Institute Charter and laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God.
The tax practitioners were presented with their practice licenses, seals, and stamps. Congratulations to the newly licensed tax practitioners. We want to wrap up this episode by bringing you the story of the 7th edition of the National Tax Debate organized by the Tax Club University of Lagos, which was held on Tuesday, 27th June 2023. This is a yearly event put together for students from various universities in Nigeria, and we dare say these young ones are making us proud. The theme of the 7th edition of the National Tax Debate was Law, Policy and Administration towards balancing the tripod of taxation. We do recall that last episode, we brought you the story of the interactive training conference for justices of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, which was geared towards bringing the judiciary up to speed with recent developments in the tax system. And we did emphasize that the tripod of taxation is made up of tax policy, tax laws, and tax administration. You will agree with us that there is the need to balance these three for an efficient tax system. Except
sometime in 2022, my mother sent a consignment of garri and some tubers of yam to me. So I left school for Onitsha to pick them, and on getting there, to my amazement, some group of boys accosted me and said that I had to pay tax for the consignment. I was like, see me see wahala, tax? They said, yeah, oh yes, tax. And I was faced with the dilemma of either paying the purported tax or forfeiting my beloved garri and tubers of yam. In the end, I had to part with one of my Naira notes, that one that has the picture of Nnamdi Azikiwe. You see, that was tax touting. In simple terms, tax efficiency simply means tax administration that has less burden on the taxpayers and lower cost of administration. Every government needs money. How they get this money and who they get it from are two of the most difficult issues faced by any political economy. Countries like Georgia and Liberia are examples of low-income and emerging economy, which have made some of the largest revenue gains from tax reforms. While Nigeria has made some considerable effort in this regard, our tax to GDP ratio stands at 10.86%, which is a far cry from those of the US and UK, standing at 28.7% and 40% respectively. 13 years ago, Georgia's tax to GDP ratio was 11.5%. Presently, it is 25.9%. This is quite a pitiable situation for Nigeria, and it shows a deficient tax system.
A good tax system is an interplay of the tripartite relationship between laws, policy, and administration. On top of our list for the challenges bedeviling the legal sector of our tax system, we identify uncertainty and ambiguity of laws. Yes, it has been said and asked as a question here, what are the major issues or what are the perfect examples that are of what is wrong with our tax laws? A good example is the National Information Technology Development Agency Act. Under that act, the National Assembly failed to define what telecommunication companies are, and it created an uncertainty on the part of the FIRS to effectively tax companies in the telecommunication sector. We have an infraco, and clearly the issue fell before TAT, before Tax Appeal Tribunal, as to whether an infraco is indeed a telecommunication company for the purposes of the levy under that act. And it was held in favor of INT Towers that they are not, as an infraco, they are not a telecommunication company. This uncertainty still traverses. Another point we should look at under legal challenges are the multiplicity of tax laws. Yes. The idea we throw here is the fact that multiplicity of tax law creating taxes bears a burden on the taxpayers. It has been said for the often time in this presentation that Winston Churchill says, no nation can tax itself towards prosperity.
What many people have told us here today is that Nigerians' tax to GDP ratio has increased from 6 to 5% to about 10.86, and that is good. But what most people have failed to tell this crowd today is that even the FIRS chairman, Mohammed Nami, has expressed some form of displeasure over the current rate. As a matter of fact, he stated that one of the reasons why the current rate is what it is because of the leakages in our tax system and the inefficiency and the fragmentation of our tax system. But when we say fragmentation of tax system, what do we mean? We're talking about the fragmentation that cuts across the law, the policy, and administration. Take a look at the projector, the stand of the projector. Look at the lights on the stage. Look at the cameraman and their tripods. They will not be able to perform their duty efficiently if one of the legs of these their tripods is problematic. In the same vein, in relation to taxation, the taxing powers and the efficiency of the system will not be optimal if one of the pillars of taxation is faulty. For example, in relation to law, there are some problems that stand out as to law particularly. One of such problems is the issue of clarity and contradiction that exists amongst the law.
It's getting interesting, isn't it? But this is all we can take on today's episode of the program. With the culture of taxation being imbibed by these young ones and their increasing knowledge of the Nigerian tax system, we are sure Nigeria will definitely find her place among other nations with good and vibrant tax systems. Let's keep supporting and encouraging our youths. Nigeria, now we all know. More from the 7th edition of the National Tax Debate will come your way very soon. Watch out for it. Thank you for watching. See you next week.